Hey, it's almost perfect weather in Berlin finally. The sun is shining and I'm taking a short ride with my bike north of Berlin through the lakes and forests. And I'm going to talk a bit about my vision of the future of the engineering manager. For the last 10-15 years, the role of an engineering manager has been treated almost like a law of nature. Every engineering team needs one. We were told that an engineering manager must be a people coach, a culture carrier, an empathic psychologist, a hiring machine, and a retention guardian. And for a long time, this story worked. But today, I want to ask a slightly uncomfortable question. What if the engineering manager role was optimized for a very specific historical moment, and that moment is over? And even more importantly, what skills does an engineering manager need now to stay relevant, useful, and professionally alive? Let me start with a bit of a personal context. I became an engineering manager about 7 years ago. And it didn't happen through a careful career plan, coaching track, or leadership program. A director needed someone urgently and decided to ask people who they think may lead them. And good colleagues of mine pointed at me. And I was appointed to the role without a long discussion, though it was still a stretch assignment and actual promotion happened some 8 months later. Yes, there was a performance evaluation round and the decision has been made. At that moment, I was neither a staff nor a senior engineer. I was a mid-level software engineer. On paper, this should have been a disaster, but apparently it was not. Why? I think my previous leadership and management background in my side hustle activity, the City Guide, helped me a lot. Colleagues who wanted me to lead them felt that all is going to be fine if I finally become the lead. Before becoming an engineering manager, I had built and ramped up my own touristic business, worked with many other guides, interviewed people with experience, and actually I was quite experienced in planning resources and capacities, understanding priorities and business criticalities. That was people management. And on top of that, I defended my PhD thesis in mathematics, attended scientific conferences, and did a lot of public speaking, including city tours where I had to talk against crowds of strangers daily and keep them engaged. So, when some folks later told me an engineering manager must be a culture carrier, empathic coach, communicator, I honestly thought, okay, that doesn't sound very hard. And I don't say this arrogantly. I say this because it reveals something important. Back then, the job kept me very busy, not because it was conceptually hard, but because the environment demanded it. We were in the hypergrowth, pre-flattening era, teams growing fast with non-stop hiring, and attrition was a real risk. Recruitment was a real workload. On average, let's say, per week I had 3 interviews, which is about 3 hours, plus debriefs, alignment, and recruiters' syncs. Easily over 10% of the 40 hours a week. And that alone justified a big chunk of engineering management. But recruitment was not the only thing. There is another responsibility people often forget when they talk about old-school engineering management. Product collaboration. During the hypergrowth, companies were building many new products, simultaneously following aggressive roadmaps, and the feature velocity was competitive advantage of the business. Engineering managers weren't managing product managers, but they were working very closely with them. Why? Because new ideas constantly entered the system, scope was fluid, dependencies exploded, trade-offs had to be negotiated daily. The EM was often the translator and stabilizer between product ambitions and the engineering reality. Roadmap discussions, scope negotiations, feasibility checks, delivery pressure took a lot of time. Again, not purely technical work, but organizational glue work. Now let's look at what happens in 2023 and 2024 and onward. Companies flatten and hiring slows. Feature velocity drops. This does not necessarily mean that the product organization shrinks dramatically or that product becomes unimportant. Moreover, investment into products become even more important in this pivoting moment in the industry with the AI coming. What changes, however, is the nature of work. Instead of questions like what new product can we launch or what new feature can we add, the question becomes why is customer support volume so high? Why is this workflow expensive to operate? And where are we leaking money, time, and reliability? And this is where many engineering managers feel confused. Because suddenly there are fewer shiny new features, fewer big roadmap reveals, and visionary product launches. It looks like maybe engineering managers don't need to work that closely with product anymore, but that conclusion, in my opinion, is wrong. What actually happens is a mode switch. Organizations move from feature creation to efficiency, cost, and quality optimization. And this is exactly where engineering managers become extremely valuable if they adapt. Think about examples like high customer support contact rates, slow internal workflows, manual operational processes, fragile integrations, architectural decisions that looked fine years ago but are now expensive. These are not problems the product can solve alone, and they are not problems engineers will solve without alignment. This is the new EM product collaboration. The future collaboration looks like this. Define KPIs for existing features, understand what actually drives cost, reduce operational overhead, improve reliability. Instead of adding scope, measure success in efficiency, not novelty. And here is the key point. Engineering managers are uniquely positioned for this work. Why? Because they know the systems, architecture, where inefficiencies live, and which small technical decisions create large operational costs. This is not about building something new. This is about making what already exists cheaper, faster, and more reliable. So let's try to update the picture properly. The future engineering manager still doesn't need to code daily and isn't just a people coach, but there is a need in shifting the focus from hiring machine to capacity optimizer. Instead of adding more people, the EM needs to optimize how existing teams work, identify and remove waste, and reduce friction. Learning and doing more with less is not a senior management engagement speech, but rather the EM daily routine. From feature partner to efficiency partner with product. The EM still needs to work with product managers, but on KPIs instead of roadmaps, diving deep into cost optimization instead of new feature ideas, investing to operational excellence instead of novelty, from empathy to judgment. Empathy stays important, but decision-making, proper prioritization, and conflict resolution become far more critical. I think it's not fair to promise the team that we will get to normal, meaning to the past, to the old way of doing things, to the hypergrowth. It is important to help everybody to embrace the new reality and be honest about slower promotions and longer plateaus. It is important to shift the mindset of your directs to professional growth without title growth. From team advocate to the business translator, answer clearly why this team exists. What happens if it disappears? What business outcome it improves? At this point, the EM resembles a mini general manager, not a classic line manager. So, let's come to an uncomfortable but honest conclusion. Engineering management was invented for growth, but the future belongs to managers who can operate in constraint. In a no-growth world, empathy is table stakes. Judgment is the differentiator. Some engineering managers will evolve into delivery and efficiency leaders. Or maybe they will move towards program or general management. Others will return to the individual contributor roles. Or quietly disappear from org charts. And that's not a failure, that's a market correction. And the managers who survive won't be the most empathetic or inspirational ones, but the ones who can identify waste, decide priorities, and explain why it matters. So, if you became an engineering manager because you liked helping people, that's great. But if you want to stay one, you now need to help the business to survive. If you like the video, and see you next time.